and it just stops. I need to fade that out a little bit. This is what happens when you do your own intro video. Welcome to Ask Vince, the second episode of Ask Vince. Really, really excited because it's the first time I've had a guest on with me to answer questions, so that I don't have as much pressure on me to answer questions.
Oh, is that the reason?
Totally. Angela, this is all about making it easy for me.
I get it. I'm guilty too.
Of course. So for those that are joining us, thank you so much for checking in. Thrilled to have as the debut guest on Ask Vince. I guess that probably needs no introduction, but I'm going to let her do an introduction anyway. Miss Angela Wick. Angela, welcome. Welcome to Ask Vince. How's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me. I'm broadcasting from Southern California in Santa Barbara. We're having a gorgeous day.
You're yes, because we've got snow. So
so sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really nice when it's November. It's like, oh, the first snow. But now in April, it's like, go away and come back in the winter. Right?
Yeah, I've got this theory that or not theory, but this feeling that, it should snow on Christmas Eve just enough that it's falling, but not that it stays on the ground.
Oh, but then the sleigh can't get through with the reindeers and...
No, it can. There's Rudolph. He's good.
Oh, they fly. They fly.
Yeah, they fly. They're good. They're good. So, Angela, welcome again. We're here to talk about and answer questions if anyone's got any. We're here to talk about Agile in the analysis space. And I'd like to also couple in there agility. So we're going to talk uppercase A and lowercase a in our world. So why Agile? Why do we need agility in the work that we do in the analysis space?
Well, we could have a debate about how, they're just diabolically opposed. I mean, analysis, agility, isn't it like, can the two actually go together? I think so. In fact, I think analysis can enhance agility. But a lot of people get confused with that, right? Like, oh, there's no analysis in Agile. We just go. It's like,
it's fast.
No.
Yeah. No requirements. It's fast.
But we can do analysis and make things faster. And a lot of teams, organizations, people just get confused by that, right? It's like, well, wait a second. How can slowing down to analyze speed us up? Well, no, a lot of people do get that concept. It's just so different today because people don't want to wait.
That's the thing. We need that instant gratification. Like I need it, and I need my solution, and I need it now. And I'm gonna agree with you. Like we slow down and do the analysis so that we can go fast later.
I'm going to disagree with that as being Agile.
Here I thought I'm agreeing with you.
Am I kicked off the show now?
Yeah, never. It's all good.
I mean, I guess I'm a big fan of doing analysis, and maybe it's the same thing that you're saying, right? Just in time, and while the team and the train is going. We can still start the train, take it off, go down the tracks, and get up to a really high velocity of speed. And we can do analysis while it's going. We're part of the train, not a train that hands off to another train.
Correct. And I think that is what I meant. That we're slowing. Let's continue the train analogy. We're slowing
and we don't
down
mean
the
safe.
train.
We don't mean safe.
No, but we don't want to stop the train, right? We can still do things. But I think taking that moment to continually do that analysis, and I think there's a skill to that, doing it quickly, doing the analysis quickly with the data, and I love the use of the term because it's near and dear to my Six Sigma heart. Just in time, do the work that you need to, do the analysis that you need to, make the decisions that you need to, and then go. Or
go and keep looking out in all directions all along the way and continuing to analyze, right? Like, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is leaders, the reason they put so much pressure on requirements and analysis is because once they have an idea and a result in mind, and they know pretty well what it's going to do for business results, to them, they see programming and coding as the start of the clock. So the faster they can get to programming and coding, the more they think progress is happening. So, right, the trick is that requirements and analysis, if done before coding starts, everyone just sees as waste except for us as analysts, right? So I'm not saying we don't do anything. I'm saying we can do a very small focused amount of analysis to get to coding really, really, really fast.
Right.
And then do most of our analysis along the way while we're coding. So that's where it's like, how do we get one small increment of value and get feedback right away and incorporate that constant feedback into analysis on the train, not before getting on the train.
And see, so this is where maybe my own bias is informing my perspective, which I mean is fairly natural.
Mine too.
Right. Like, to me, the coding is the end. Like, the analysis is the beginning. So to me, that's where my clock starts. And so for me, that's the work. But I also look at it through that sort of strategic enterprise lens of seeing the whole landscape. So you talked about being on the train and looking side to side. Like, I'm doing that anyway. So maybe I take for granted the fact that that leaders don't think that way, and they think from the perspective of, okay,
well,
now
leaders
we're
are always riding 10 trains, bullet trains at the same time, looking at all of them. So I feel like leaders are always speeding on a train, looking around. They don't ever stop everything to analyze. So I feel like they expect us to be moving while we analyze as well. And like, you think about, in the BABOK, the solution evaluation knowledge area.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just reading it this morning, of course.
Oh, get out. Okay.
No,
so when we wrote the BABOK, one of the big things about the solution evaluation knowledge area is that it is not about after the solution is built and finished.
Right.
You only need a tiny bit built to start evaluating if it's working. So when you think about that from an Agile perspective, think about, we can build a tiny little piece and get users to use it and start evaluating the feedback from users. And from that feedback, we can say, what should we build next? As we look at the context.
That's the MVP, right? Like, that's
even before MVP. I mean, MVP is a really sticky term.
I have so much to learn. Jeez.
MVP is such a sticky term because everybody uses it differently.
Well, I mean, the smallest increment that adds value
could be MVP. Some people use it that way. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Right. I mean, that could be one user story.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could all. Yeah. Never. That's a whole nother show. Right.
Who knew that we would have so much fun talking about Agile?
See, that's the best. We were talking about something completely different. We did no prep for the show, and that's the best stuff that happens, right?
That's the gold. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. So, okay. So
but like, well, how do you guys think of it in an enterprise? I mean, I guess I'm not saying I don't do enterprise analysis. I do plenty of it, but like,
sure,
I look at enterprise analysis, which you're very, obviously you've got your new LinkedIn learning course on that, and you're, really into it. But I look at it like, like aligning teams to metrics that align to strategy and going. Like, we go right away. What's the smallest thing we can do to move this enterprise metric to align to our strategy? And we code right away, and we get feedback, and we look while we're building how people are using it, evaluate, get feedback.
Right. Yeah.
And do all those techniques that you teach while we're speeding down the train track.
And not only that, there's like 7 other trains
circling?
That are also circling and running and doing their thing. So you've got to be aware of those trains and what they're doing. And some of those trains are internal to your organization. Some of them are outside, and you need to be aware of them. But it is that. So what you said is correct. Plus, we want to add value without screwing something else up.
Well,
And I
yeah.
think that's the piece that I think a lot of organizations miss is we're going to make this change here and no big deal. When in actuality, there are upstream and downstream impacts
I think it's because
to
they're
that
not
change.
measuring the right thing, Vince. They're not
Correct.
measuring it correctly.
Correct. Because when from what I've observed, there's a lot of projects, initiatives, whatever changes from a people and process perspective and technology, but they are done sort of with blinders on. They're done in this silo, and we're just
Right.
making this change. But you don't recognize, okay, so I'm making things better for me. I'm saving $1 million by making this change. But now you've made this impact upstream, which now costs your organization $5 million. So there's an example where you need to live with the pain because it's actually it costs less for the whole organization.
Yeah.
I like to use the analogy of those balloons, and I think I used this in my LinkedIn learning course. The balloons that clowns use to make balloon animals, those long, right? If you squeeze the middle, the air doesn't go away. It
It's
just goes to the ends, right? So it doesn't go away. So all you're doing is you're making your problem someone else's problem. You're literally sweeping your problem under someone else's rug.
like when I put a heel
That's the
insert in
problem.
my shoe to play tennis. Now my toes hurt.
A what insert? What?
A heel insert into my tennis
Oh,
shoe, and then
oh,
I go play tennis, and now my toes have these funny.
see? You solved one problem, but you solved one problem by
Yes.
creating another problem,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
No, it's so true, but I really think it's because 'cause they're not looking at the value streams altogether and then
Bingo,
measuring based on a value stream, right?
bingo.
Oh, is that
And
another
to
Six Sigma term for you, right?
it is be still, my beating heart.
I
Like
do remember my Six Sigma training from way back when.
it's so like you know what? It's so valuable. I have long advocated that all business analysts should get some level of Six Sigma knowledge. You don't need to do what I did and go and become a master black belt. That's
Right.
excessive. But like, do like a yellow belt. It's
But it's
quick.
the concepts, not the process that I've taken from it, right? Can we
Correct.
talk about that? Like, you don't go to
Yeah.
Six Sigma training as a BA to like follow their step-by-step process, right? You
Right.
go to get the concepts of what's a value stream, how do you analyze a process like a SIPOC, how do you, right? Like, I feel like there's some really key concepts I took from it, but it's
Hmm.
not like, I mean, unless you're going to work in a very formalized Six Sigma team, then you
Hmm.
follow the process,
The
right?
DMAIC, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Then you have to, right? It's like the scientific method. But
yeah,
I've struck, and this isn't what I intended. Let me promote my Six Sigma Yellow Belt course. That's the point. Is it's the concepts and how do you use it? And I actually years ago, and I've turned this into a video course too, into online course. I put this course together called Lean Six Sigma for Business Analysts, and it's how do you take those tools. So I mean, if you're interested in that course, check it out. But yeah, I mean, it's about the concept. It's about the mindset, which I think you can also apply to the BAs. Like I think it's true of anything.
well, and
We
it's
don't.
very agile too. If you think about value streams are very agile in nature. If
Yes.
who'd ever thought we'd put Six Sigma and Agile together, but yes, absolutely we do. So if
Well,
folks are
no, I
thinking
mean
they're
lean and agile to me are
exactly, they all
very
originated
enmeshed. But
Can you hear my dog in
that's
the background? He's
I do.
barking.
It's fine. It's fine. It's you know what?
Where's my mute?
Dogs make noise, like shocking. But yeah, I mean that to me makes perfect sense, right? Like that 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 we find the value in our value stream, that there's value in concepts, and you take that in and you figure out how to apply it in your context. So
Yeah.
understanding the concepts of Six Sigma are great. You don't need to lead a project. You don't need to do what I did, because
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
insanity.
what this comes down to, Vince, I think it's really important is with Agile and agility is none of the practices and concepts are new. And they weren't new 20 years ago, 21 years ago. These
Right.
are, I mean, if we talk about the history of Agile for a second, the 17 methodologists that got together to define the Agile Manifesto, the question that they were asking themselves was what's always worked?
Mm-hmm.
So what they saw was software teams failing.
Mm.
And it's like, well, what's always worked? And so if we think about all these practices are rooted in something we've done for years, like Six Sigma,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, and so let's have a very controversial conversation now, because I love controversy.
Bring it.
I read something very interesting recently, and I can't remember where, but it was on LinkedIn, and it talked about the death of Agile
Okay.
and the death of Agile as a discipline. And what
Mm.
it basically said was that Agile as a discipline is going the way of Six Sigma. It is declining in popularity and in usage. What it then said was the concepts that work of agility will persist.
Yeah, absolutely.
The concepts will persist, but they'll just be called something else, and it'll be a reformed. What say you on said controversial?
Well, I agree and disagree on aspects of it. I haven't seen
As most
signs.
business analysts do, right? We have debates with ourselves
Yeah,
constantly. Yeah.
yeah, all the time while I'm cooking in the shower, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen any signs that it's going away or diminishing. In fact, I still see a lot of organizations trying to start or trying to be more agile. So I'm not
Yeah.
seeing those signs that it's diminishing.
Mm-hmm.
Certifications are still super popular. My agile courses on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn Learning are some of the most popular ones, right? So I don't see that going away quite yet. Is that
Mm-hmm.
the key word? Will it go away? I don't know. And of course, the concepts will persist. And I think what's interesting is, and Carl Weigers and I had a chat about this a while back. It's like, because he's been teaching this stuff for how many years, right? And we're kind of a different generation of thought leaders in this area. And it's like, yeah, these concepts have been around forever. It's just every
Right.
10, 20 years, it's a whole new crop of people discovering them and discovering the anti-patterns that make us yearn for a better practice. The practice has always been there. We just keep
Right.
failing to use it.
Well, that was so. I'm of the opinion that I think dogmatic agile may go away. Just the
Wait,
way
say that
that
again.
dogmatic, like
Oh,
this is
dogmatic. Okay, I thought you were like
dogmatic. Yeah.
Doug Matic. Who is Doug
No.
Matic?
Sorry,
I don't know this guy.
Angela. I have a Canadian accent. I'm sorry. I mean, let me. I'm sorry. Um,
And I'm from Minnesota. I can't believe that
exactly.
I didn't
You
catch it.
you've got more of you have more of a Canadian accent than I do. Uh,
Probably.
I'm from Minnesota. I love the Minnesota accent, but like that blinded sort of like this is it's like the Mandalorian. This is the way.
Yeah.
Like this is the way to do it, and that's it. I think that piece of it will go away. I think the concepts that work will continue on, just as they have for Six Sigma. Like
And some of the real
Steve.
agile purists would say there's not supposed to be any dogma and it's not supposed to be
Agreed.
dogmatic, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I think what might be happening more, especially with the world events, if I can bring this into the world events we're going through, whether it be the pandemic or the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, or war, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah. Oh, it's a war. Yeah.
It's a war.
Yeah.
And the effects of the pandemic, our global economy, supply chain issues. I I really think that what's going to come more to a mushroom head is corporate culture and management style.
3 times, Angela. Be still, my heart. Like yes, I have been speaking more and more on organizational culture because to me that is the thing.
Yeah.
That is the unlock.
Our
And so when
leaders.
we look,
Yep.
when we look at, Six Sigma doesn't work, Agile doesn't work, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. No, they all work. It's does your culture enable the success of that discipline? That's the key. So you can't just flip a switch and say, okay, everyone, we're agile now, deploy training and expect that, you're going to work miracles.
I have a lot of
It's the culture.
conversations with clients and potential clients about this. They call and
Mhm.
want a program created for training around this or that, and I'll have a very candid conversation about readiness for it
Right.
because
Because,
I
but that's you're just being. I
yeah.
think to me, you're just being a responsible business owner because what you want to protect your own reputation. But you also don't want to have a client go through and pay X dollars and then and then put the blame at you,
Yeah, and
right? Like they need to be ready.
I'm less.
You need that pre-assessment of like, are you even ready for what you want, what you think you want?
Yeah, and it comes down to what do you expect the result to be after I leave?
Right.
After this course or this program, what do we expect the result to be? And really getting a shared understanding of that. Because if they say things that lead to, I know that's not going to happen as a result of this course, I'm not
Hmm.
afraid to say that and say, hey, that's not going to happen as a result of this course without these things. Are you ready for these other things to happen? Um,
Correct.
and yeah, I don't
Correct.
want to disappoint a client that they're going to get X results from Y when they need A, B, and C as well,
Right.
which is usually culture, leadership, et cetera, right? And
I've
I'm
done this.
fine taking on a client if they, disagree with that or think, nope, this is what we need. We think we're fine everywhere else. And maybe I don't agree with it, but I'm fine with that. I just want to be super
Yeah.
transparent about it, right? And that
The
culture and leadership is so important to the results.
for me and I look at it from the like Six Sigma training space. Like the first thing I want to do before I get in and like start training belts is I have a 1 or 2 day, depending on how much depth we get to, leaders program.
Love that.
So it's for like, how do you run continuous improvement strategically? How do you support the people? How do you start building that culture?
Yeah.
And then the belts are free to do what they need to do. So when I go in and say, okay, well, this, we're going to do this for 2 days and then we're going to do our training. Oh, no, we don't need that. Leadership's fine.
We know, don't we? No, they're not.
No,
Can we get real? I've
no,
heard it a million times
yeah,
too. Leadership won't spend 2 days in the classroom. Well,
yeah,
okay. Then these results you think you're going to get, I have a very small percentage thought on that one.
right, right. So,
Mm,
but that it's indicative of the culture, and I think that's a
yeah.
piece that I do find that I'm drawn more to speaking about culture and leadership and that sort of thing, because that to me is the unlock of everything else. It's
Yeah.
the unlock of success everywhere else if you can get that piece right.
It's funny because I 100% agree. 99%. There was a but coming. I'm going to say 99%. No, I'm with you. I also think that individual contributors, BAs, product owners, project managers can make a huge influence in those leaders.
Yes.
It's just not a high percentage of them will. So there is a
Yes.
small percentage of folks, if they have the right relationships, the right skills to influence, the right communication style, the right way they're bringing up their ideas, that can hugely influence leaders in these areas by how they work and how they challenge the culture appropriately. Um, I think that can be huge. But so I want to make
Mhm.
sure when we're saying it's leader and culture, we're not telling everyone on the line that they can't do anything about it.
No, no, no. Of course not. But I
Right?
mean,
Yeah. Just to
culture
clarify.
does stem from the head, right? Like, but
Mhm.
you have the ability to influence. It's like the number whenever I speak about enterprise analysis, the number one question I get is, well, how do you do this? And my answer is, I just do it. Like
Yeah.
the way that you show the value of strategic analysis is by showing what strategic analysis does,
Yeah.
not by saying, okay, we need a strategic analysis team and I'm going to be the leader of it. And like, it's not going to work that way, especially in a culture that's not conducive. Like organizations now, they know what a BA does, but now we're pitching something completely different. So the way that I do it is I fight for a seat at the table, and then I deploy my knowledge and my experience and the stuff that I've learned to ask really good strategic questions and just catch people's attention to where
Yeah.
they want to know, how did you do that? How do you see that? How do you predict? And it's amazing how often I've said, if we don't do, XYZ, when in 3 months this is going to be the result. And then people come back and say, how did you know? How did you see that coming? It's like, I'm like Neo from There Is No Spoon, right? Like it's just it's this innate, but that then opens the discussion to, like, this is why we need this holistic view.
I'm with you. Buy-in isn't about a presentation. It's
No.
about doing it and telling the story.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
doing
Amen.
it and getting the story out there of your successes. And it's that less than 10% that are willing to figure out how to do it and tell the story that are out there.
Hmm.
And if you are one of them and you know you are, or if you're not sure you are, try. Be one. Be that 10%.
Yeah, because I mean, I would say you and I are in that 10%. Like I
Mm.
often describe myself as a professional pain in the ass because
Pepita?
I ask those
Pepita?
questions. Professional pain in the ass. Yeah, yeah. I'm a pepita.
A
Uh,
pepita?
pepita. No, but it's not about being difficult. It's not about being that pain in the ass. But it's about asking the tough questions and fighting for that seat. Steve Jones asks, how do you
Is
get
this
how do you
Steve,
find
that
out what
question from
room,
Steve? How do you know
right?
what
Like, how,
room and get a seat?
this is where you uh, for me, this is where I leverage coffee and just
Ah, perfect.
remain connected to as many leaders as you can, so
Uh-huh.
that you can get that invite. I don't know, Angela, how do you find the seat? I mean, at this point you probably got more inbound where people are saying, hey, come to us, and you say, no, no, no. but
No,
but
I'm
how do you
with
how do you
you.
find that?
But like before I started my company, which 14 years now, can you believe it? Um,
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. I know. I started my company 14 years ago, and before that, how would I get a seat at the table? It's just like you said, right? It's you need the courage to try the new practice
Yes.
and keep your notes on what did people say were the pain points beforehand? What were you trying to address? What did you do? I would take a few notes every day at the end of my day. And then, yeah, I would talk to like project managers and program managers that were really influential. And I would talk to leaders, and when I'd have one ups, or what do you, not a one up and a one up,
Skip level, we call
skip
them skip
levels.
levels,
There
but
we
like,
go.
yeah.
And I'd be like, hey, I'm trying some new practices to address this pain point.
Hmm.
I'll keep in touch with you on how they're going when I get some results. And I talk about what we learned, what didn't work, what did work. You keep those coffee meetings, and all of a sudden, and it's funny because when you get invited to the table, it's often not the formal invite. I don't
Mm.
know if you found this too, right? But
Yeah, it's
did you get
forward.
like someone literally like, oh, what are you doing right now? Shoot, you need to be at this meeting. Can you
Yep,
come? Come with me.
yep,
Like,
yep.
you don't get the formal invite. You get pulled along because you're visible. And you were at the water cooler at the right time all of a sudden, or whatever, in the elevator. A lot of times it's not formal until you've established that credibility and you came
Yep.
to that meeting, and you sit very patiently waiting for the right time, and then what you say is profound enough that they're like,
We need this person here all the time.
mm-hmm,
Yeah. That
mm-hmm.
that that exact scenario happened. I was, except in not the water cooler, elevator. Hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm going to this thing. Why aren't you there? I don't know. Well, grab your stuff. Let's go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
then
then
you
you have
sit there.
someone saying, oh, I brought Angela because she's been
Yeah.
working on the same exact problem, and she's done some really cool things that I've heard about over the last month or so. And I really think that if she could share what she's doing, now, how do you on the spot be able to share that on the spot like that? It's because I've taken the notes and told the story to myself so many times,
Right.
right?
Right. Well, and so my strategy with that is I'm going into a room. I am an observer.
Right.
I like to survey what's going on, but
Mhm.
then there's always this moment, and people have said, because I have a hard time. This might surprise you. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm very expressive. So they're like, there's always this moment where we just hear or see or feel this exhale, like, okay, here it comes. And I've become aware of it now, where I'm sitting in a meeting and it's like I've hit this point where, okay, I can't stay silent anymore, and I just go, okay, blah 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 blah, like, and just, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it turns people off, where they're just like, yeah, you've just destroyed 6 months of our work, so please leave, even
Well, the
though,
beauty
you
though
know
to David's is right is, and today it's changing because we have text messaging and instant messaging and Teams that we can use
hmm
to go to our allies that already exist to be like, is anyone going to
yes,
talk about this? And they're like, no,
yes,
shut up, wait, okay, okay,
yes. Yeah, yes, and I'm talking like
right,
pre-pandemic, where it's just like I'm in the room and I go, with a team that I had a few years ago, they were like, early in the pandemic, they're like, we could always tell when you'd had enough because you would come off mute and flip your camera on, and that
oh,
was the signal. Like, if you had nothing to say, you were just on mute and your camera was off. If we saw your camera on, we were getting ready for the fireworks.
yeah,
There we go. Angela, we are actually over time.
wow,
The half hour flew by. This was a lovely 30 minutes. I want to thank you very much for being on Ask Vince.
thanks.
Where is the best place for people to get a hold of you if they want to know more about you and the awesome stuff that you're doing?
Probably LinkedIn. It's the easiest place to get a hold of me. I got the follow me button on LinkedIn and
Mm,
LinkedIn Learning Courses and bacube.com. ba-cube.com is my platform that I have lots of members on that we do live events, content, classes, etc. So,
fantastic. And you're to me, you're the bar when it comes to LinkedIn learning course. Like, I need to get on the Angela Wick plan.
oh,
I've
you're
got
so sweet.
one. I've got oh I've got one course out right now. Might be working on a few more, but I don't know. But like, it's like I need to get to the Angela level. I need like 10 courses, and then by the time I get to 10, you'll be at 30, and then
I love
perpetual
that.
catch up. But
There you go.
but thank you so much, Angela, for being on, and we will catch everyone. Thanks everyone for joining in. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.